and welcome to another edition of Walking Wednesday. Last week we were looking at a basic blues progression and walking over that with just simple triad patterns, major and minor. Those patterns were just repetitive in their nature, whereas most walking bass lines are usually thought of as being improvised and different all the time. Although that's not always quite true, a lot of musicians will repeat themselves with walking bass lines, and this is basically because what you end up after a while of practice is with a library of different lines and phrases, as it were. There will be an element of making things up as you go along.
We made it up.
But you'll also have that underpinned with certain lines that you will repeat, especially over different sections of a jazz standard or a blues progression. So what we're going to look at very quickly is just 4 formulas or ideas to get you from one chord to the next chord. So we're just going to work on chord 1 going to chord 4, and in this case that's chord 1 F going to chord 4 B flat. And I'm just going to stick to this area of the neck so we can look at these patterns in a little bit more detail. So we're going to be going from F to a B. Now, the first thing to consider when you're traveling from one chord to the next chord, as in this case, is direction or pitch direction, the direction of your walking line. You're either going to be going up in pitch to your target tone, or you're going to be coming down in pitch to your target tone. By planning this ahead a little bit and thinking about direction, this is really what's going to give a walking line its sort of up and down shape, as it were, as it travels from one chord to the next chord. As I said, we're going to be looking at these 4 different formulas. So we've got scale, we've got chromatic passing tones, arpeggio, and method 4 is really just combining all of the above, putting your ingredients into one basket and mixing and matching. So the scale, if we think really we've only got 4 notes to play with to get from there to there, one quick way of getting there is just descending straight down the scale. So we have this. So we're just using the degrees of the scale to get from chord 1 to chord 4 down the scale. Now coming up in pitch, we kind of run out of notes, as it were, or we don't have enough notes, as it were. So we're either going to have to repeat something or backtrack. One method of doing that is this. Or you could go. Or. Another method I like to call double taps is playing 2 notes on the same pitch. Again, we can approach from above, going down in pitch and then coming up. Also, we can use octave displacement. So next up, we can think of chromatically approaching from chord 1 to chord 4. One standard way of doing that would be this. And there's our 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And of course, that's a classic line. Very popular. We can also come up like this. We're starting to get into the realms of arpeggio now. Let's look at just some arpeggio lines to get us from 1 to 4. So that's some arpeggio ideas. Now we can start thinking about mixing and matching. And this is where it gets interesting. One of my favorite ones is this line. Using some of these ideas, mixing and matching, practice them out of context and then start to put them into your own walking lines. It's all about experimentation and getting used to these patterns in context as well. By learning them out of context, you'll be a little bit more secure in bringing them out of the hat, as it were, and improvising with them a bit more easily and a bit more naturally. So I do hope that's been helpful to you. Don't forget there's a PDF below with all this information as well, so click on that, it's all free. There'll be more along the same lines next week. If you've enjoyed this, please hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe as well. I'd really appreciate any support that you could give through Patreon to help support this channel and help produce more videos along the same lines. At least buy me a coffee and to say thanks for some of the content that we're looking at the moment. My name's Pete, this is The Infinite Bass. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.